If you've been dealing with random dizzy spells or balance issues during perimenopause, you're not imagining things. New research is finally connecting those vestibular symptoms to hormonal changes. And it turns out there's a migraine connection too that might explain a lot.
Hi there, I'm Tony Lee, and this is Hot Flasher, your daily menopause podcast that serves up fresh news, research, and wellness tips. I've built a daily news pipeline to find the latest on women's health and menopause research. Allow me to introduce my co-host, Nikki, who handles the headlines. Take it away, Nikki.
Thanks, Tony. We've got some fascinating research to dig into today. I want to start with something that really struck me about a new study on food insecurity and postmenopausal women. This research followed over 140,000 women from the Women's Health Initiative for more than 20 years, and what they found was sobering. Women experiencing food insecurity had a significantly higher risk of dying from cardiovascular disease. Now, food insecurity doesn't just mean not having enough food. It means not having reliable access to affordable, nutritious food. And this study found that even after accounting for other health factors, postmenopausal women facing food insecurity were more likely to die from heart disease and stroke. What makes this particularly relevant for us is timing. Many women hit financial stress right around menopause, whether it's job loss, divorce, caring for aging parents, or just the accumulated financial pressures of midlife. And that's happening at the exact same time our cardiovascular risk is already climbing due to declining estrogen. The researchers point out something important. This isn't just about individual choices or willpower. This is about social and economic factors that directly impact our health outcomes. When you're worried about putting food on the table, you're probably not prioritizing the Mediterranean diet or organic vegetables. You're buying what you can afford, which often means more processed foods, fewer fresh fruits and vegetables. I found it interesting that the study controlled for things like diabetes and high blood pressure, and the increased risk persisted. That suggests food insecurity creates health impacts beyond just the obvious nutritional ones. There's likely stress involved, sleep disruption, or the cascading effects of financial instability. Moving on to something completely different but equally intriguing, this new research on dizziness and balance problems during menopause. The study looked at what's called isolated episodic vestibular syndrome, which is basically episodes of dizziness or vertigo that don't have an obvious cause. The researchers found clear connections between these vestibular symptoms, migraine history, and menopause transition. Women going through perimenopause were more likely to experience these dizzy episodes, especially if they also had a history of migraines. This actually makes sense when you think about it. Estrogen affects the inner ear, just like it affects so many other parts of our bodies. As hormone levels fluctuate during perimenopause, it can throw off your balance system. And if you're someone who gets migraines, which are also hormone sensitive, you might be even more susceptible to these vestibular symptoms. The study found that many women with these symptoms also reported headaches, nausea, and sensitivity to motion. Sound familiar? Those are classic migraine symptoms too. It's like the hormonal changes of menopause can trigger this whole constellation of neurological symptoms that we don't always connect. What I appreciate about this research is that it's validating symptoms that women have been reporting for years, but that haven't always been taken seriously. How many times have women been told their dizziness is just stress or anxiety? This study provides actual physiological explanations for what we're experiencing. Now, the third piece of research I want to talk about is this comprehensive review of female bone metabolism in orthopedics. This one caught my attention because bone health is something we talk about a lot in menopause, but this review highlighted how much we still don't understand about how women's bones work differently from men's. The researchers point out that most orthopedic research has historically been done on men, and then the findings have been applied to women. But women's bone metabolism is fundamentally different, especially after menopause. Our bones respond differently to mechanical stress, heal differently from fractures, and have different risk factors for injury. The review emphasises that estrogen doesn't just prevent bone loss, it actually affects how bones remodel and repair themselves. When estrogen drops during menopause, it's not just that we lose bone density, the whole process of bone maintenance changes. Old bone gets broken down faster than new bone can be formed. But what I found most interesting was their discussion of how this affects surgical outcomes. Women may need different approaches to things like joint replacement or fracture repair, not just because our bones are smaller or less dense, but because they behave differently at a cellular level. The authors argue that orthopedic medicine needs to move toward more personalised approaches that account for these sex differences. They suggest that timing of interventions might matter differently for women, and that our recovery processes might need different support. This connects to something I've been thinking about lately: how much of women's health has been treated as a variation of men's health rather than its own distinct field of study. Whether we're talking about heart disease, bone health, or even vestibular symptoms, we're finally getting research that looks at women's bodies as the default, not the exception. All three of these studies point to something similar: the need to understand women's health in context. Food insecurity affects our cardiovascular health differently because of where we are in our lives and our changing physiology. Dizziness during menopause isn't just a random symptom, it's connected to the same hormonal changes affecting everything else. And our bones don't just need different treatment, they need different understanding. It makes me wonder how many other symptoms or health issues we've been told are just part of aging or just stress, when there are actually specific physiological explanations we just haven't researched yet.
Thanks for listening to Hot Flasher. We're back tomorrow with more, so don't forget to subscribe. See you tomorrow.